I stood there, my mind a whirl of confusion, grief, and anger. The man who had vowed to stand by my side for better or worse, the man I had shared my life with, had torn apart everything I thought we had. The love I had trusted him with now seemed so fragile, so easily shattered by his deceit. I wanted to cry, scream, run away, but all I could do was stand there, feeling numb. "How could you?" I asked again, the words barely escaping my lips, as if saying them once more might make him understand. But I already knew the answer. I knew this wasn't just a moment of weakness, this wasn't just a mistake. It was a choice, a series of choices he had made that led us to this point. And the truth of it all cut deeper than any betrayal I could have imagined. He reached for me again, but I pulled away, instinctively, as if touching me would somehow make it worse. "Please, just give me a chance to explain," he pleaded, his voice hoarse now, but it was too late. I had heard all the explanations I needed. They were meaningless now. How could I ever believe him again? I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself, trying to gather whatever strength I had left. "I don't think I can do this anymore," I said, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. Convince himself more than me. "I know I've messed up. I didn't want to lose you. I was stupid. I thought I could fix it. I thought I could make things right with you. But then it was too late." My heart cracked at the hollow tone of his words. I had heard enough of his empty excuses over the years. The man I had loved, the man I had built a life with, had just casually admitted to tearing apart the very foundation of our marriage. I couldn't believe it. It felt like I was watching a stranger, not the man I once knew so well. "You thought you could fix it?" I asked bitterly, shaking my head in disbelief. "By lying to me? By keeping secrets and betraying my trust? What makes you think I could ever trust you again after this?" He took a step forward as if to comfort me, but I backed away. "I never meant to hurt you," he pleaded. "I swear, it wasn't like that. I never stopped loving you." His voice cracked, but it didn't matter. His words didn't carry the weight they once had. His love now felt hollow, tainted by everything that had come to light. The truth was too much to bear. My mind was reeling, trying to process everything that had been said. The reality of the situation was sinking in, and it was breaking me apart. For years I had trusted him. I had built a life with him, and now everything felt like a lie. The pain was suffocating and I wasn't sure how to even begin to heal from it. Could I ever forgive him? Could I ever look at him the same way again? The silence stretched between us, the weight of it pressing down on both of us. I didn't know what to say next. I didn't know what was going to happen from here. I just knew that nothing would ever be the same again. For the first time in our marriage, I felt utterly alone. The heavy silence that filled the room was suffocating. I sat there, heart pounding, staring at my husband who stood frozen, as though unsure how to react to what had just been said. He had no idea that I knew everything now, everything he had tried so hard to keep from me. My mind was racing, and every part of me wanted to scream, to demand answers, to make him feel the pain I was experiencing. But I couldn't find the words. "Why didn't you tell me?" My voice broke through the silence, barely above a whisper. "Why did you do this to us? To me?" I was trembling, my hands clenched into fists, my chest tight with a mixture of anger and heartbreak. He seemed to snap out of his stupor, finally taking a step towards me. His eyes were wide, filled with guilt and confusion. "I didn't want to hurt you," he said, his voice weak, as if that could explain everything. I was confused. I didn't know what I was doing. "Emma, it just happened." "Just happened?" I repeated, disbelief and fury rising within me. "You mean to tell me this was some kind of accident? You've been lying to me for years, sneaking around, and it just happened?" My hands were shaking, my voice rising in pitch. "How could you say that to me? How could you betray me like this?" He flinched, his face twisting in shame, but there was no apology in his eyes, only the faintest hint of regret. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, almost as if he were trying to. Then, one night, like any other when he was busy with his phone, I decided I had to do something. I didn't know why, but I felt there was some reason for me to check his phone. At first, I only intended to glance at the screen, but something made me focus on the Snapchat icon on his phone. For some reason, I felt that icon was suspicious. I knew what I was doing, but I couldn't stop the curiosity. After he went to the bathroom, I quickly unlocked the phone and began checking the contacts in the app. I didn't know what I was looking for, but then I saw a name I had never heard of before. Emma. It stood out clearly before my eyes, and in that moment, the unease inside me suddenly turned into real fear. I felt suffocated. How come I didn't know about this girl? Who was she? Why did my husband have her in his contacts? The question kept swirling in my mind. I no longer had the patience to wonder if I was overreacting. I made my decision immediately. I had to check his messages with her. Reaching for the Instagram icon, I found Emma once again. As I looked through their messages, my heart seemed to stop beating. I felt a flood of pain, as if everything in my life was crumbling. These weren't just casual messages. They were filled with affection, sweet words, promises that I had never heard from my husband. Everything I was seeing made me unable to stop thinking about what had happened. It was something so unfamiliar and painful. My husband had revealed a part of his life that I had never known about, and I was only just beginning to see this horrifying truth. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the messages between my husband and Emma. The sweet words, the promises, things I never imagined he would say to someone else, while I always thought our relationship was solid. My heart shattered as I read each intimate message, and even some of the affectionate conversations that I had never received from my husband. For the past 8 years of our marriage, I always felt like something was off, but I kept pushing that feeling aside. Until one night, when that unease became an unbearable obsession, I decided to check my husband's phone. That was when everything started to unravel. A strange name on Snapchat, secretive messages, and a painful truth I never saw coming made my life collapse in a single night. I had always felt like something was wrong in our relationship. But I couldn't explain it. My husband and I had been married for 8 years, and during that time, I kept telling myself that our love was still strong. We had a 5-year-old son, and our family life seemed stable, at least from the outside. However, there was a lingering sense of unease that slowly gnawed at me over time. Sometimes I felt an invisible distance between us, the nights when he returned home later than usual, the moments when he avoided my gaze, or the vague answers he gave when I asked about his work. Although I never had concrete proof, those feelings kept eating away at my mind. Certainly, there were times when I questioned whether I was being too sensitive. But one day, that feeling became stronger than ever. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't deny it anymore. That unease had become a tidal wave, sweeping everything around me. I started feeling an uncontrollable urge, a powerful force inside me that made me act, to seek answers to the questions swirling in my head.